Would you buy a Square or would you buy an MLM2 Pro? Square, MLM2 Pro. That's the question I get asked literally every day, all across social media. The answer is actually very cut and dry. So I'm going to answer it within the first minute, but then I'm going to go into depth and give you my experience with both of these units so you can truly understand the differences between both. I do want you to understand that this is a completely genuine opinion. I am a YouTuber, if you will. I post videos on YouTube, so I guess I'm a YouTuber now. But these are my experiences. I've owned the MLM2 Pro for well over a year now, and I've owned the Square for coming up on 6 months now, maybe. I'm a dad who has a passion for golf. I'm about to have 3 young kids, my oldest being 3 years old, so I don't get to get out to the course much. I'm lucky if I play once a month, but Square versus MLM2 Pro. Here's the answer. So if improvement is your number one goal, you have to buy the MLM2 Pro because this is seriously better than $3,000 plus units out there. That's a very bold claim, but the features that this has, that the app has, slow-mo cameras, shot cameras, everything syncs to your phone, syncs to a cloud, and you can see it at any time. So I can hit 10 balls. I'm getting on a tangent here. There's a lot to it. We're going to get into it. If simulating golf indoors is what you're looking for, the Square Launch Monitor is my go-to 100%. If simulation is your number one goal. Of course, we all want to improve, and you can still do that with this launch monitor, but this is tailored for a simulation experience. No subscription, so $700 is your all-in cost. The setup is easy. There's virtually no hiccups. Short game is great. Built-in putting. Did I mention no subscription? For $700, this is the GS Pro user's dream unit. But if taking my word for it is not enough, and I totally get that, I'll tell you about my experiences, compare and contrast each one, and by the end of it, you'll have no more questions left about which is the right one for you. But of course, if you do have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Oh yeah, and at the end of this video, I will crown one of these as my champion, number one bang for your buck launch monitor. All right, so over a year ago, I started using the MLM2 Pro launch monitor. Previous to that, I had a SkyTrack Plus, but unfortunately, it was a blacklisted item that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. Guy scammed me out of $1,200. It worked for the first 30 days, and then it didn't work anymore. My wife told me, just go buy another one at full price, because, you know, you really enjoy the simulator thing. But it honestly just wasn't fantastic for the price, and it was still really expensive. There was a lot of misreads and no reads, the shot delay, excruciatingly slow. And so anyways, I searched for other options and came across the Rapsodo MLM2 Pro. A lot of hit and miss reviews, and I'm sure if you're searching, you're going to see negative reviews just as much as you're going to see positive reviews. And I got to say, this thing has come a long way in a short amount of time. So the first thing I really want to talk about is the price. Don't think of this as a $700 unit. Yes, these both cost $700 at retail, but you got to think of this as a $1,200 unit all in, because otherwise you're paying $200 a year for the premium subscription to unlock all the features. And yes, you need premium to get all the features, otherwise this is a paperweight. Spin data is locked behind a paywall. All simulation features locked behind a paywall. So do yourself a favor, get the lifetime membership, consider this a $1,200 investment. And so that's how we're gonna see this during this review. And I'll preface this by saying when I purchased this unit, there was no lifetime membership option, but I was okay with the $200 subscription because of all the reports I've seen of how accurate this is and everything it could do for only $700 plus $200 a year. It was gonna be a long time before I reached the investment that I would have buying another SkyTrack Plus. And so for me, it was a no-brainer at the time. Now I will say this unit is not perfect. It's not for everybody. The biggest downside to it is the app, while it's also the biggest upside to it. And that's because of the way the app runs. Internet stability is so important. So if you have a stable internet connection, it's not all about speed, it's all about stability. If you have a stable internet connection, you will have a great experience with this launch monitor. If you don't, if you have an older iPad, an older iPhone, or whatever device you plan on running the Rapsodo app on, you can also run into some freezing, some lagging, some shots not registering. So those are the downside. It can be a little bit quirky, but Rapsodo customer service is fantastic. And they are always working on improvements. Everything the community asks for. A GS Pro official connector, club data, chipping fixes. We've gotten all those typically within several months of asking for them. Rapsodo is listening. They're involved in the Facebook groups. So first thing I always recommend is join the Rapsodo Facebook groups so that you know what's going on, so you see what other users are talking about. So with the Rapsodo app, you're going to get a practice mode, which is by far the best tool for improvement. You're going to see a few metrics on the screen at a time, and every time you hit a shot, those will update. You'll also have the option to get a replay of your swing or a replay of your impact at 240 FPS. You can see the ball in the dark because it's got infrared cameras, but this is essentially tracking all the data from your shot, the club, the ball data, taking a video, and it places all of it inside of the Rapsodo app for you to view later. You've also got two driving ranges. One's a driving range, one is a target range. You've got the combines where you can hit a certain number of shots with each club, and then the AI will tell you how your game stacks up against the pros, against other players in your handicap range. You have R Speed, which is speed training, and it doesn't require you to hit a ball, so you can swing your driver or a weighted trainer and track your progress as you improve. And of course, we have simulated course play. 30,000 courses on demand. Last major update to course play graphics was, I believe, last November, and the graphics are definitely getting somewhere. They might not be the most incredible graphics out there, but there are 4 different graphics settings based on the health and age of your device. And so if you can run max settings, you can get a really good simulation experience. But then of course, most importantly for game improvement, after every single shot you take, that shot replay, that impact replay, and all of the statistics for every shot get saved into the Rapsodo app for you to view at any given time. There are AI insight reports that tell you what you need to improve on, how far you hit each club when you miss left, how far you hit it when you miss right, how often do you miss left or right. What should you be working on to improve your smash factor, your launch angle? How consistent are you compared to other players, compared to the pros? It gives you a lot to think about. And so if you're data driven, if you like seeing those visualizations and numbers, sorting through what's your best shot, what's your worst shot, which shot did I have the highest smash factor on, you can sort through all of that. And for data nerds like myself, it's really nice for improvement, because numbers can truly help paint a picture of your game, what's lacking and what you need to work on. And what's most important is that the accuracy is completely proven. Watch other YouTube videos. Unfortunately, I don't have a TrackMan or a GC3, but tons of other creators, reputable creators, have those other devices and they've put the Rapsodo up to it. I've used TrackMan since having this and my numbers are spot on to TrackMan. Within 1% on every single metric. And what's really important is that the Rapsodo uses RPT balls, which is Rapsodo's special pattern to accurately read spin. So the radar is going to capture the ball's launch metrics, but it uses a camera to read these dots just as accurately as all the high-end launch monitors out there. And that's why this is so incredible for the price. It is a mini TrackMan. That's what I refer to it as all the time. And if you think about it, going out on the range and hitting broken, beat up balls doesn't show you an accurate ball flight, but hitting these into a net or impact screen is going to be way more telling of what your ball's actually doing than the driving range. So I work from home, I spend a lot of time at home. Sometimes I only have 10-15 minutes to hit balls, sometimes I only hit 10 balls. I'll set this up, hit those 10 balls, and spend the rest of the day looking at those shots, looking at the metrics, looking at the shot camera, the impact, seeing what it is I need to work on, and having all those stats to learn from, knowing my exact carry distances at sea level, being able to calculate them at elevation when I go to play a course. This type of data is the type of data that pros use. This is how you improve your game. All right, let's switch gears and talk about the Square. Now, I was really happy with my Rapsodo, obviously, as I just told you, but I had been asked about the Square so much online in different communities, and I finally pulled the trigger on one because I had to know what it was all about. This is camera-based, obviously, which means it sits right in front of the ball, so if you have space requirements, you can keep this really close and in a tight space. There is no minimum distance to the screen required. Camera-based systems are fantastic for a lot of reasons. Lightning fast shot delay, you hit a shot, look up, and the ball's already in the air. But we've truly never had anything at the $700 price point until now. So for $700 bucks, here's what I'll say. The setup was pretty seamless. Couple hiccups here and there. You have to update your firmware, update your OS, and update your app at the same time. There's a little bit going on there, but nothing that couldn't be figured out. Also keep in mind that this is a new unit in its infancy. It's been out for less than a year, so there's bound to be some hiccups, and a major one in the beginning had been customer service. And I've talked about this plenty of times, but I reached out to customer service when I first got this unit. Luckily mine works, but some people get units that don't work. It happens with every launch monitor, every piece of technology. So having a customer service to respond is really important. And for the last 6 months or so, nobody has received a response from the US customer service team, only the UK. Now finally, we all got a response saying that customer service is all being handled by the UK now. So hopefully that means people are getting responses, but I would like to see some more updates. Because as of right now, the MLM2 Pro gets a slight edge for customer service and community involvement from Rapsodo. Now, as far as the Square app goes, the Square app is fantastic, and in some ways, it trumps the MLM2 Pro. That being because it's an iOS, Android device. You can use it on your phone, tablet, but you can also use it on a PC, which you cannot do with the Rapsodo app. And personally, with the stability issues that the Rapsodo app sometimes has, I wish they had a PC app, and I have asked about it. I've met with Rapsodo, and that was my #1 suggestion, a PC software that we could connect to. So Square currently offers that. It's the same app whether you run it on your mobile device or you run it on your Windows PC. You've got 2 different driving ranges with different views, very fun to hit on. You've got different camera angles for tracking the ball or staying fixed. And of course, all your metrics, club data, ball data. You've got a closest to the pin challenge. Putting practice, which leaves a little bit to be desired, and the course play. That's the safe shot. Yeah. I think I got this. I think this is in. I hit it hard. Get in. So Square isn't necessarily a subscription-based unit. There is no subscription, but it is credit-based if you were to use the Square native app. So if you're not planning on running GS Pro or running Awesome Golf, you will need Square credits. It comes with 1,000 credits, and each hole costs 1 credit to play. So you can do the math. You can play 1,000 holes with your initial 1,000 credits. And then after that, I believe it's $20 for another 1,000 credits. So those 1,000 credits will get you a long way, but if you're someone who is only going to be playing on the Square app, it is more or less subscription-based. Driving range, closest to the pin, putting practice, those are all free and don't require credits. And if you go to play third-party applications like GS Pro, there is no third-party subscription. So for $250 a year, you can play some of the most incredible courses out there. Graphics-wise, physics-wise, it's superior to both the Square and MLM2 Pro's native courses. The app is smooth. I personally haven't had any connection issues with it. I almost always run the PC version, but sometimes I run the mobile app, and it's nice to have. I can set my phone up on a tripod, just hit a few shots, get connected very quickly, a little bit quicker than the MLM2 Pro, but overall very similar, and it's just a great experience. Like I said, the low shot delay is incredible. I hit the ball, look up, and it's already in the air. And for me, that makes it a really good simulation experience. Now, when it comes to accuracy, I have to say it is very in line with the MLM2 Pro. Now, there is the contact I needed right there. That's about my perfect 7-iron. There it is. I'm trying to start with Square. 124 versus 123 ball speed. 6,500 versus 6,400 backspin. Spin axis, 4 degree left versus 1 degree left. 176 carry versus 171 carry. Full disclaimer, I don't have data to back this because I'm not testing it up against a TrackMan or either of these units. But I get more misreads with the Square launch monitor. Now this could be because this accepts no UV rays. If you have a window open, and I think I just recently figured that out, if you have a window open nearby and the sun is coming in, it can cause no reads because this is an indoor only unit. no outdoor whatsoever. It does not like UVs. No UVs. However, misreads on spin do occur. Oh, there's a misread. I've tested these side by side because, interestingly enough, this reads the Rapsodo golf balls. And just as the Rapsodo reads the RPT balls for increased accuracy when it comes to spin, the Square reads the TP5X Pix balls, a great premium ball. I picked these up. They're cheaper than the RPT balls. But I have noticed, and a lot of other users have also noticed, that the Square picks up pretty much any ball with patterns on it very well, with pretty impressive accuracy. So I put these two units up to the test side by side, and what I will say is I got a couple more wonky spin readings, shot shapes with this unit versus the MLM2 Pro. Both of these are not perfect, and you have to expect that at this price point. Misreads and no reads will happen. But for me, the MLM2 Pro has more misreads, which I'm not bragging about, but I would much rather have to hit a shot again because of a no read rather than a misread when I'm playing a simulation round and I don't want to take a mulligan. This doesn't have many no reads. It reads almost every single shot. There's an occasional one here and there, but it seems like I do have roughly one misread per round. Not a huge deal all in all, and if you're practicing on a virtual driving range, probably not a big deal either. The accuracy of both units are fantastic. So at this point in time, after using both units for several months now, all the time, I'd say pretty much 50-50 split at this point between which one I use. This is my opinion on them. If I want to load up GS Pro, which is what I do a lot of times, I'm picking the Square. Square has released their connector for GS Pro. It's very simple to connect to, stays connected. The shot accuracy is fantastic. I love the low shot delay. It just works. It works very well, and it's simple. Not everybody out there likes to putt, but I do, and I like to hit bump and runs, different options when it comes to chipping. The MLM2 Pro does GS Pro great as well. It does simulation rounds as well, but because of some issues with short chipping here and there, it does make it a little bit more difficult to fully enjoy simulation rounds with it. Now, I personally don't have an issue with chips that are 10 yards and over, but when you get down to those 6 and 7 yarders, sometimes you have to settle for a bogey instead of getting up and down for par, and there's no built-in putting. There is webcam putting, which I've talked about plenty of times, and you can see that in some of my older videos. I have set up videos for that as well because you can actually hook a webcam up to your PC if you're running GS Pro, and you can actually putt with devices like the MLM2 Pro, the Garmin R10, and so it is an option, but it is certainly not as seamless as it is with the Square. So 9 times out of 10, if I'm going to run GS Pro, I'm picking the Square. If it's a typical practice session for me and I have 10 to 30 minutes to hit some balls and all I care about are mechanics or things I've been working on or consistency, 9 times out of 10, I will pick the Rapsodo MLM2 Pro. And a lot of users that I've seen in the Square community that have jumped ship on the Rapsodo to go to the Square have mentioned that they didn't realize how much they would miss those cameras, all that shot tracking that you can look at later in the R Cloud. It is a big deal to have those improvement features. Personally, I attribute a lot of my swing changes that I've made over the last year, probably all of them, to the Rapsodo. Just the awareness. The feedback is so important. It's like having a coach over your shoulder at all times. And at the end of the day, if I want to play GS Pro and I only had this device, or I wanted to do simulation through the Rapsodo app, I would still have a great experience with this, and I would still use webcam putting. And so for me, this is a really difficult decision to pick between the two, and I still haven't actually made up my mind. But I think if I had to pick a reigning king, even at $1,200, I would pick the MLM2 Pro versus the Square at $700. And the only reason I'm saying that is because if I had to get rid of one unit, I would truly miss the MLM2 Pro's game improvement features as a player who's hoping to get competitive and play in tournaments again. If that's not a huge deal and I still want to improve, but I still want to play simulation rounds primarily, have my friends over. See, I don't have friends over all the time. I'm pretty much always playing solo. then I would pick the Square. Your friends will have fun on it. There won't be quirks with the app. The low shot delay adds to the immersiveness feel. The no subscription model, $700, is a great entry point into launch monitors. And so truly, if this is your first launch monitor, or even if you've come from something below like the Garmin R10, which I would not recommend with these two options on the market, you will love either one of these units. I guarantee it. And as much as I'd hate to give up the Square at this point, having used it and knowing how fun it is, my reigning king would be the MLM2 Pro. But in effort to not be biased, because I don't want to be biased towards either unit, I am searching for some solutions to come up with a good replacement for the impact camera and shot camera using some third-party systems out there. And so I'll continue bringing you some videos on those. So subscribe if you'd like to know more about what I'm working on, what I'm testing. Hopefully I answered all of your questions. It was a lot. I had notes, but I tried to go off the top of my head. Leave me some questions down in the description. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Watch my playing rounds if you want to see some real experiences with both of these units. And like I said, both of these units could last you a long time. They're both a fantastic investment. If you get this one, go for the lifetime subscription. If you get this one, get GS Pro. You'd be doing yourself a disservice not to. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time here, or if you've been a subscriber, I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. I've got links in the description to both of these if you want to support the channel further. But ultimately, I just aim to inform and tell you about my experiences. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.